So should you invest in a money market fund or a SACCO? That's the question that most people keep asking me. So you have, 50,000 Kenya shillings, 100,000 Kenya shillings, a million Kenya shillings, and you're thinking, should I invest in a SACCO or a money market fund? Very popular question, and a worthy question as well, because you're wondering which one is the best for you. Now, I'm not going to just go into the pros and cons or whatever. I'm going to look at some of the questions you need to ask yourself. And once you answer those questions very directly, very simple questions, then you know exactly where you should be putting your money. That's how we make it simple and easy for you to make the decision, instead of me just telling you all, because I've spoken about money market funds so much and SACCOs so much. I've told you the pros, the cons, the advantages of each and the disadvantages of each. So it's not something that I want to get into in that sense, but I want to just empower you to kind of answer that question very easily for yourself. If you can answer these questions that I'm going to ask, what I'm going to put forward as points of discussion, then at least you know exactly where you need to be investing your money. So yeah, it's not really a question of like, hey, this is exactly where you should be investing. It's a question that you should answer at an individual basis based on different factors, because not everyone has the same objective. Not everyone has the same goal. So it can't just be blanketly applied to everyone. But then if I empower you and give you some information, that you're in a position to better understand what you need to invest in. So money market funds versus SACCO. Money market funds are MMFs, SACCOs are savings and cooperative credit organizations. These are very common in Kenya as well. I'm sure most of you know about SACCOs. I'm sure most of you know about money market funds. If you don't, you haven't watched Kenyans Money Matters. And by the way, guys, subscribe, like, share. Let's push the information out to as many people as possible, because these are things that people need to know. They are basic stuff, but they can be very helpful for you in achieving your financial goals. Anyways, let's get into the video. As usual, this Kenyans Money Matters talk about the money mindset, how to make that money, how to enjoy that money, how to manage that money, how to invest that money, and how to assure yourself of a lifetime of income. Basically, financial freedom. So both of them obviously are, I would call them investments, and therefore the aim is for them to make you money. You want to invest money. You don't want your money sitting in a bank account doing nothing or losing due to inflation. So you want to have something that is like, okay, I have something where money is working for me. It's not just me spending time working for money, but my money is giving me some return. So both of them can give you that kind of return, but then you want to decide which one is best for you in your situation. Now, the first thing is you can have both of them. There's nowhere it is written that you must only have a SACCO or a money market fund. So the first thing, you need to have the option and the choice to know that, hey, it's possible to have both. Why should I choose between the two of them? So as we go through the video, just know you can have two. You can have a SACCO, you can have a money market fund, because probably they serve different purposes. Okay, and it doesn't just have to be a specific one that you must have for a period of time before you have another one. You can have 5,000 here, 10,000 there. There's no issue, there's no problem. It's diversification. It's good for you to have access to all these things, and because all of them come with a certain level of risk, then you end up diversifying, or at least spreading your risk across. From the first instance, you don't have to stick to one. Now, that leads us to the next question that you want to ask yourself. What objective do you have? What are your financial goals? When I take my money and go and invest in a money market fund, there's a financial goal I have in mind. Either I want to just increase my net worth, or I want to save for something short term, I want to save for something medium term, I want to save for something long term, depending on what you want to do, really. Depending on what your goal is with the money that you're investing or you're saving, that then determines where you want to put that money. Okay, so for instance, I'm saving to buy a car, or I'm saving to invest in bonds, but I don't want to put little money in bonds, because bonds, they take your money and then you go and fix that money for a long time. I want to put this money somewhere whereby I can easily increase the amount I'm putting towards it. And let's say I have a plan to have the car in the next 2 to 3 years. So I'm like, okay, I don't want a loan. I'm basically going to be saving money. Then in that instance, you don't want to use a SACCO, because SACCOs are not meant for that. Money market funds will be accessible to you. You can put in more money. You can be earning you interest as you compound that money towards that goal. Okay, so that's a very clear financial goal that you have, that you can use a money market fund for. But now again, let's say you wanted just to have loans. You want to have access to loans. You want to get some dividends as payments, because SACCOs pay you dividends. Your objective is to get dividends. Your objective is for long-term investment, and your objective is to get a loan. These three objectives will then drive you towards a SACCO. Why? Because number one, SACCOs will give you access to loans. The main reason why SACCOs came together is that they bring all that money together, then they give out loans at certain interest, and that's how they make their money, and then they pay you out dividends. So if you're investing for dividends, you're investing long-term, again, and investing to get some loans or accessibility to loans, then SACCO would serve you better. So again, if you look at it in that sense, you have answered yourself. You can invest in a SACCO, you can invest in a money market fund. Easy peasy, depending on exactly what you want. If someone is like, hey, I want to be in a position to have a bigger loan, to leverage my small money to access much more money, then you want to go into a SACCO, obviously. So objectives matter. What do you want to attain? If you're just thinking, I want to invest like $1 million in bonds, but I still don't have the 1 million, I just want to have somewhere where I can put more money as time goes. And once I get to my $1 million, I can invest in bonds. Then a money market fund would serve you as a very good accumulation point. Watch my video that I did on money market funds are not investments. These are accumulation points, for short-term, medium-term goals, before you then move the money into more stable investments, more long-term investments, okay? Then I've also mentioned loan requirement. If you're someone who require a loan, you know exactly where you want to invest. You want to invest in a SACCO because SACCOs are mainly going to be giving you loans. So that's the question. Do you require loan accessibility? Do you want your money to give you access to loans, or you are not interested in a loan? And I say this with a lot of carefulness because a lot of people go into these SACCOs without a plan. Okay, you don't have a plan for the loan, but because you have access to that loan, you take it anyways. What happens? You take a loan, you don't know what you've done with it. Now you're paying a loan that you actually haven't used for anything constructive. Also, just don't get into the SACCO investment with no reason or with no clear plan of what you're going to use that loan for if you access it. And so that's one mistake most people have made. Just because you have access to something doesn't mean you have to take it. Okay, but if you have a very clear goal, and you feel like you need a loan, let's say you're taking children to school and therefore you need to have that security, or you can get a loan very fast to pay your school fee, then SACCOs are really good. And our parents paid school fees using all these loans from even chamas and SACCOs, when we were growing up. So it's not a bad thing. In that sense, it's really helpful because you have a very clear goal of like, if I take a loan, I'm going to use it for school fee, for instance. I'm going to use it for this business, for instance. So the next thing is compounding effect, right? So if you want to compound your money, you want to be able to add more money, compound it, and earn interest on it, then in that sense, you want to go for money market fund, because some people are just interested in like adding more money. They're disciplined enough, they're consistent enough. They know that, hey, you know what? If I put this money here today, in the next 2-3 years, if I'm compounding it, I'm going to be getting some crazy returns once I have a good amount of money. Now, of course, that's not the same with the SACCOs, because SACCOs are like just contributions, and then they give loans, and then they give you dividends. So the compounding effect doesn't really apply, even though it will apply to some extent, obviously, because the more you invest in a SACCO, the more you have access to loans, the more you probably get dividends. But the specific compounding effect of interest investment will be felt in a money market fund. And then you also want to ask yourself how disciplined you are. You know yourself, you know your nature. Do you want to be able to access that money or not? Because some people say, hey, I am an impulse buyer. So if I have money that's accessible to me, I'm going to use it. Money market funds are highly liquid. The money is accessible to you. If you're someone who can have accessibility to their funds and not end up buying things that you didn't plan, then you can use a money market fund. But if you're someone who is like an impulse buyer and you know yourself too well, then you know what? You don't risk or tempt yourself. Put money somewhere whereby the withdrawal process is going to be long. Money market funds will not give you the same level of liquidity and withdrawal ease as a money market fund would. So if I was that way, then I want to put my money somewhere I can lock it out and I don't see it often, and I cannot just wake up one day and go and buy shoes that I didn't plan to buy, or buy things that I didn't really want to buy just because I have the money there, right? So a SACCO would be helpful in that sense that, you know what, you can't just go impulse buying really. So if you know you're disciplined enough, you won't be accessing your money to buy things you don't need, then a money market fund will do. But if you know yourself that, hey, I want to put this money as far as possible, then a SACCO would do. Then of course, earnings, right? Our return on investment, how much are you going to make on your returns, right? So if you invest in a SACCO, the likelihood of getting lesser returns are high. You're going to get dividends, and dividend payment is not guaranteed, it's not stable. You can't know exactly how much you're going to get because it depends on the loans that have been given out there and the repayment process and how people are repaying them. So the dividends are not a stable return that you can actually count on. Now, money market fund can give you very good returns. They can give you very stable returns. It can be very predictable as well. So if you were looking at just returns specifically, then maybe you could say a money market fund would be good. But it's not just a blanket like that, because the more you invest, the more you get. And remember, the interest rates with money market funds do fluctuate a lot. So sometimes we're at like 15%, sometimes we come back to 10%. So you want to think about that when you actually deciding to invest because of returns specifically. So you want to look at, if I just invested in a very stable SACCO, right? Would it give me higher returns in terms of the dividends I'll be earning? Or even if I invested in a money market fund with fluctuating interest rates, I would still get more money. Most of the time, if you do the calculation, money market funds will give you better returns in that sense. So if you're just looking at returns on your money, then you would get money market funds that will give you much better returns. And you have a much more variety when it comes to money market funds than you have with SACCOs, because some SACCOs are close to members, some SACCOs also have been there for ages, and therefore their interest rates are really low, and their dividends payout is not as good as well. So a money market fund would probably give you a better return. Then if you're going for security, if you're someone who is like looking at the risk level, right? This is a very interesting one. If you're going for just security of your money, you would find that you're in a nice SACCO that has been there. It is very stable. You know how the management works, you know everything, because SACCOs are managed by the members. It's more secure than some random investment firm that someone has just come up with and they're investing your money and you don't know what they're doing. So you would find that there's more open scrutiny to the SACCOs and therefore higher security level than a money market fund. Now, I'm not saying that's always the case, because money market funds, we also have some that are linked to very stable companies. They have been there forever. But in most cases, looking at the number of money market funds that crop up all over the place, you will find that maybe a SACCO that you have been part of, you know them, you know the members, you know how it's run, is a bit more secure for you. So depending on where you feel secure, you want to look at the security of that particular firm or that particular SACCO you want to invest with. Then management. Money market fund, like I said, is managed by professionals, right? Investment professionals. So it's always closed out to you as the person investing, but SACCOs are managed by the members. So what makes you feel more comfortable? What will make you sleep peacefully at night? Knowing that the management is, you are part of the management as a shareholder, or knowing that someone as a professional is busy managing that company. Now remember, that professional, you don't know them, you don't know how experienced they are, you don't know the kind of risk they're taking, but most of the time money market funds are investing in debt securities, very simple, easy things. There's nothing really that they are managing or trading, so the level of risk that they take with these investments is quite low, so it's not something to worry about as much. But still, someone would just feel more comfortable being a decision maker in a place where their money is. So if you feel that way, a SACCO would be good for you. But if you feel that you can leave your money, invest in a firm, and let professionals manage it for you, then a money market fund would be good for you, depending on how much you want to be part of the process of managing your money. So management is something that you want to consider when you're thinking about money market funds or SACCO. Then accessibility or withdrawals. Now again, with SACCOs, they have very strict rules on withdrawals. Most of the time you have to send emails, you have to give them notice, you have to do I don't know what. It depends on how much shares you have and stuff like that. Now, with money market fund, you have access to your money at any time that you want it. It's easy, 1 second withdrawal straight into M-Pesa or whatever you're using, and straight into where you wanted to pay it to. So accessibility can be a good thing, can be a bad thing, like I mentioned earlier. But if that is what you want, let's say it's an emergency fund, let's say this money is going to be used in a very short period of time, then I would say go into a money market fund, because you can easily access your money. But then if you're thinking about, hey, I want to do this long term and therefore I don't want to have access to my money, then maybe a SACCO would be good for you. So looking at that accessibility and withdrawal process, which one would serve you better? Then of course, risk level. Now SACCOs obviously will carry a higher risk level. So depending on your risk appetite, you want to decide between a money market fund and a SACCO. SACCOs would have higher risk because of the people, the members. The money is lent out to people, and therefore the repayment process depends on how those people manage their money. Now remember, you don't know these people, you don't know how they manage their money. So the risk of putting money out there and giving it to people and expecting them to pay back in time to get your money back and to get the dividends is much higher than when I just put my money in a money market fund. I'm earning very stable interest rates. I know exactly how much I'm going to be earning at the end of this month or so. It's much easier. It's much more stable. It's a stable return. You know exactly what to expect. But with money that is being given to people, there's a higher level of risk there. So you want to look at the risk level and what is your risk appetite. Then last but not least, something I've mentioned already is stable returns. You want to have predicted stable returns, go to a money market fund. You want to, just have returns based on the dividends for every single year, then go to a SACCO. Just recently, we had that scandal with Cusco, and you know what happened. They had to slash off some of the dividends that they were going to pay to their members to cover the losses that they had with this organization that they were part of. So in that kind of scenario, it means you're not really sure how much you're going to get out of that. So you can't really plan ahead and know exactly what you will have. But of course, you know the average they give on a yearly basis if there's no scandal or there's no issue. But with the money market fund, you know exactly what to expect. So stability is a big thing if you want to choose between a money market fund and a SACCO. Let me know in the comment section below which one you prefer. Is it a SACCO? Is it a money market fund? Which one would you go for? Until next time, I'm out.